Joining me now, attorney, political analyst, Gayle Trotter, chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp. Thank you both for being here. Gayle, first, the president obviously has to be disappointed with what has happened in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, even though everyone expected this result. Is it your view, as an attorney, that he can prevail, that national security and the national interest can prevail in a split Supreme Court?
He should prevail, and he should not be disappointed because the Ninth Circuit is the most liberal of all the federal circuits, and they have the highest reversal rate by Supreme Court decisions of any of the circuits. So the fact that the Ninth Circuit decided to act this way shows that they're really just politicians in black robes. And I think President Trump will ultimately prevail because the Constitution gives him plenary power over immigration and national security, and there's statutory language that even a bad high school student could understand.
Well, I want to explain one thing about plenary, if I pronounced it correctly. It's one of those words that lawyers use.
Sorry.
It means total control, right?
Right. Immediate, original. The fact that he has full dominion over it.
Now, there's dominion again. Now, see what you're doing to us here, Gayle.
Sorry. Whereby, hereas.
Hey, Lou, why don't you start talking to the bad high school student over here now?
Okay. You're up, partner. And I know better than that. Let me turn to you. I mean, are we to really believe that the Supreme Court, given that we know that 70% of the appellate circuits, that is 9 out of 13, are liberal, and they act like it. And suddenly the Supreme Court, now with a 4-4 split, is a place of a bastion of integrity, neutrality, objectivity, and the public interest? I hope you're going to say yes.
Yeah, yes. Look, we have a judicial emergency here, Lou. First of all, on the issue of this EO, Donald Trump has the moral case, he has the clear legal case, and the politics of this are going to work out for the Republicans as well. The sad thing is the issue that underlines it is our security and our very lives. But when it comes to the question of how Republicans handle judges and how Democrats handle judges, including the Supreme Court, we have a woeful record, and it's time to reverse that, and it's time to reverse it with the nomination of Neil Gorsuch, and I think several other openings on the Supreme Court.
Let me ask you both. Neil Gorsuch, at the center of this, and the irony of it all happening on this particular 24-hour period, saying that somehow our judiciary should be beyond scrutiny, it should be beyond public criticism. I mean, that to me was a statement by I should be kinder. It was not a wise statement, nor one that it makes any sense at all. Objectively, coming from a man who has a PhD from Oxford, went to Harvard and Columbia, has an impeccable record, a great talent. What could he possibly have been thinking to say that, Gayle?
Well, clearly that's not the case, because otherwise we wouldn't see people going to protest in front of the Supreme Court. We talked about President Obama lecturing the captive audience of the Supreme Court justices during his State of the Union against the Citizens United decision. You might also remember in the run-up to the first Obamacare decision, President Obama lectured the Supreme Court justices from the Rose Garden at the White House. Clearly, the Supreme Court is subject to political pressure. That should not be the case. That's not how it was intended, but certainly it has become more and more politicized as we have gotten away from the black letter of the Constitution, and the Supreme Court justices who are on the left have decided to invent a panoply of new rights that the founders never envisioned.
Matt, let's turn to this confirmation process, and as I said earlier, and Ed Rollins will be joining us here momentarily, but he pointed out this evening that that 3 of the president's nominees, Tillerson, DeVos, and Sessions, all had the greatest opposition of any presidential nominee in presidential history. Is that in itself enough to say to Mitch McConnell, the majority leader of the Senate, it's time to go nuclear and work on the simple majority for Supreme Court nominees, for confirmation, for everything, move ahead because the Democrats are intractable, they're unreasonable, and absolutely fervently committed to destruction of not only this administration, but to, as in the instance of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, another ideological conflict. They give a damn about the national security.
I think that Mitch McConnell and the Republican senators will do any legal thing it takes to get Neil Gorsuch confirmed, and that if that means they have to go nuclear, I think they will. I think they don't want to commit to doing it yet because they don't want to act like they can't get the votes beforehand. Remember, Lou, it does take a 60-vote threshold, but there's really never been a successful, aggressive filibuster against a Supreme Court nominee. If the Democrats decide to do this, it is war. And maybe
it's war right now, Matt.
We ought to just acknowledge
this is war now.
I agree.
And you're going to have greater casualties. I mean, you know, I am very distressed at the way that this nominee to the Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch, has conducted himself and the classless remarks he's made about the president implicitly. But you know, I think that he deserves confirmation. And to lose him would be, I think, disastrous.
Well, Lou, the problem with his comments, if he made them...
No, they've been corroborated. They've been corroborated by Kelly Ayotte, the other people on the confirmation staff from the White House. They've been confirmed as well by Senator Ben Sasse. It is not simply a one source. I would not be this far out on this particular platform if it were not corroborated. So I assure you, this is not a one source issue.
Assuming that he said it, the problem is not that it demonstrates a lack of loyalty to President Trump. The problem is not that it demonstrates a lack of gratitude for the nomination. The problem is this is what Republicans always fall into. It's thinking that if they curry favor with the Democrats, that will appease the left. It never, ever works. And this is yet one more example.
Matt, you get the last word, partner.
Well, I agree with Gayle, and the fact is we need to have people...
How about me? Do you agree with me about anything?
I agree with you, Lou, as well. I think, look, we need to have very courageous people on the nation's court of last resort because guess what? Every big issue will now go there. It's just the way it is these days.
Yep.
Right.
The court intervenes on everything.
Absolutely. Matt, thanks for being with us. Gayle, thank you very much. We appreciate you both being here.
Thanks, Lou.